Hello, I'm Aisha. I'm going to be talking to you about the Oxbridge Middle Years programme, but the humanities side of things. I'm Aisha. I am from the UK. I took my GCSEs and my A-levels, got 10 A stars at GCSE, then 3 A stars at A-level, and maths, politics and sociology. And then I went on to study politics at the University of Cambridge. I did HSPS. I won the UK Parliamentary Debate Competition in 2019, and then went on to university. And now I'm here, and I'm teaching mainly politics, geography, history and bits of English too, so all the humanities. So today, obviously, I'm talking to you about Oxford and Cambridge, so our course, as well as what the university actually looks for and what makes a good applicant. So let's start there. So what traits are they looking for at Oxford and Cambridge? Of course, we expect that people typically need to be intelligent to study at Oxford and Cambridge. And that's true, but to be honest, it's not enough. So whilst intelligence does play an important role, that's, like we said, it's not enough. It's not all that these schools look for. So three main things that we think students need to be in order to have a successful application are, number one, curiosity and creativity. Students are expected to think outside of the box and see the world differently from their peers, their other students. So the way they make links between what they study and the real world, the way they make links between what they study in one subject and another, they need to be clear and they need to be interesting. So really curious between what they're studying and what they see. The second thing is discipline and self-motivation. So from a young age, students are expected to really take charge of their own learning from a really young age. So from year 7 onwards, even a little bit early if they can, just really understand what they need to do and do it early, whether that's just doing homework on time and not having to be told by their parents, to wanting to do little bits of extra work, to wanting to understand why things are the way they are. Students really need to pursue knowledge and they need to understand why things are the way they are, or how they can learn more. So the third thing is academic excellence. Students do need to be intelligent and they are expected to demonstrate higher academic achievement than their peers. They need to take subjects that are working well for them and that they are good at. So whatever subjects they take, they need to excel at. They need to be in the top kind of 2 or 3 in their class if they can be, or if not, they need to show massive amounts of progress. So academic excellence, whilst it's not the only thing, it is definitely important. So these are the values that Oxbridge really look for in candidates. And all of them can be started in middle years. So that's what this programme really aims to do. I think it's helpful to look at some admission statistics. So for Oxford and Cambridge, you'll notice that these numbers are generally higher than America, about 17.5% and 21% respectively. However, in the UK, it's important to note you cannot apply to both. So these admission statistics are higher because there are far less applicants and only those who are already at the top of their level. So these are higher than you'd expect, but international student applications, it already drops a lot. So for Oxford, only 15% of international student applicants are successful. And for Cambridge, only 10%. So as long as you're aware of these and you work hard to still get in, you should be okay. So our programme then. The goals of our programme do align with those values we discussed earlier, and we have 3 goals for the students. The first one is learning to learn, which might seem kind of basic, but it's so important that students rethink how they approach various subjects. This is very true for maths, but also very true for the humanities. They need to learn how to analyse, how to evaluate, and if they do this young, they will continue to do that throughout GCSEs, throughout A-levels, throughout IB, throughout AP, whatever they choose to study, they will absolutely need these skills. So it's really important to get them learnt properly when they're younger. The second one then is putting it to use. So all this learning that we've learned will then be put to use and they will apply the knowledge, not just in the academic settings that we discuss, but in real life too. In humanities, this is very important because we're going to be studying subjects like law, politics. So all of these subjects are very relevant to the real world, so require knowledge, but also knowing how to apply that. So this programme will definitely look into that. Lastly, we'll be looking at communicating effectively. So in humanities, this is very important because we're going to be communicating in both a written and verbal manner. So the lessons, kind of the second lesson every week, will be a verbal debate, and the third one will be planning and then going on to write an essay. So both verbal and written communication skills are very important and will be the main goal of this programme. So I think it can be helpful to know a little bit about what the interviews look like, because that's kind of a mystery for a lot of people. So for the humanities interviews, I thought we'll just discuss mine. So for HSPS, Human, Social and Political Sciences, I was asked lots of things. I was asked about my personal statement, I was asked about essays I'd sent in, I was asked about the extract that I was given in the interview and asked to compare it. I was then asked some kind of random seeming questions, such as, why do people engage in gossip, and in what ways is your school a microcosm of the government? So both of these questions initially might seem a little bit vague, especially the first one, but what they really want you to do with these questions is, like we said the program's going to help us do, put our knowing how to learn to use. So I have knowledge about gossip and I have knowledge about politics. I needed to link these two. So for why do people engage in gossip, I used the knowledge I had about politics, about power dynamics, about social norms, and about what's normal and what's wanted and how society is a community. And I applied that to the question, and that was exactly the answer they were looking for. And for the second question, school being a microcosm, so a smaller representative version of the government, I did a similar thing. I looked at what I knew about the government and what I'd said I knew in the essays I'd submitted. And then I applied that to my school and to what I'd seen and what I'd observed from, to be honest, a very young age, like your children could be doing and like students could be doing now. So for this question, it was literally just about having observed and seen around me what I thought was happening, whether it was between the teachers and the principals, between students and each other, and applying this to my political knowledge. So that's some examples of how you can link interview questions that seem random to knowledge you gain in school quite early on, to be honest. So let's go on to discuss the course then. So our humanities classes will focus on preparing students for the John Locke essay competition. So this runs every year. There's a junior category for 14 and under, and there's a senior category as well. And it's a great way to show that you are dedicated to the subject. So you'll learn about high-level content such as law, philosophy, history, and politics, because all of these are options you can take for this essay competition. So students will develop their English skills throughout the course through verbally communicating their ideas during our debates, and then writing structured arguments in an evaluative essay format every week as homework based off the plans that we write in the lessons. So let's look at a weekly schedule. So for example, the week that we study law, this is what it will look like. So day one is going to be our introduction to the subject. So we're going to look at some key concepts and some main themes. So for law, we'll discuss ideas such as precedents, defense, counsel, jury, and evidence, and really understand what they mean and what the law is, what that can mean both nationally in Korea as well as internationally throughout the world, especially in the UK and in the US if they're looking to study at Oxbridge or at Ivy League, as law is country specific. So day two then, we're going to look at analysing and debating key questions and topics within the subject verbally. So really focusing on those debate and verbal communication skills as we discussed. So for law, we'll look at things such as Brown v. Board of Education, which was a law case, and we're going to study it, but talk about the subject as a whole, but then more specifically, debating this specific case. So students will be split and almost be having a mock trial. There should be really interesting and lively discussion there. Day three then, so the last lesson of the week, we'll evaluate that subject through creating a detailed essay plan together. So for example, with law, we'll look at a really recent one. So Roe v. Wade is a United States Supreme Court case, which was very recently overturned. So for this, we'll discuss it, but in this lesson, we'll focus on writing both sides of an essay. So should it have been overturned? Should it have not been overturned? And then homework will be for students to write that essay themselves, so that at the start of the next week, I can get it fully marked and personalised feedback given so that they can improve their essays every week. So a timeline then of how students from year 7 can go on to create a successful application in year 13 is shown here. So year 7, build foundational knowledge for future years and really develop their proper thinking strategies, so learning to learn. So that's what this program is aiming for, because that's something that really we want to aim for in year 7, and if not, just as soon as possible. Year 8 then, really develop their high-level written skills and focus on effective verbal communication as well as written. So that's something, again, the course will work on, and students need to be consistently doing, using their English as much as they can, both in speaking and writing, and not just being able to write good English, but generally being able to write really well-structured essays. In year 9, if you're doing your GCSEs, choose your subjects very wisely. They need to be subjects you're good at, as well as subjects you enjoy. And the same goes for AP. It has to be an interesting mix. In this year, I would highly, highly recommend you enter the John Locke essay competition, the junior one, as it really does show that early commitment to your subjects, as well as to pursuing knowledge and education generally. In year 10 then, develop your interests and go beyond what it is you're actually just learning in school. Go beyond the curriculum. Whatever you're learning, if there's something that interests you, do some research on it. Ask your teachers what else you can learn about it. Ask us, it's what we're here for. And also attend some extracurricular activities. So extracurricular is something that these universities are very keen on. So that's your learning an instrument, that's sports, That's any after-school clubs. But also, as well as this, something we'll look at in year 11 and 12, Oxford and Cambridge in the last 3 years have turned and now want supercurricular. So supercurricular are similar to extracurricular activities, but exactly what we said this course focuses on, where you go beyond the curriculum, but it's related to your academics. So if you're doing an after-school club, if you're interested in politics, is it a politics-related club? If you like law, are you doing mock trials? So going beyond the curriculum, but relating it to your subject. So in year 11, do this through summer internships related to your interests. Home students, so UK students, do this because it's built into their curriculum. So they have to do work experience or an internship, whereas international students don't. So that's something you're at a disadvantage compared to UK students. So if you can do this, that's going to look fantastic on your application, especially compared to other international students. So choose your IB subjects wisely too. Again, for AP, same thing. Choose your subjects very wisely. And enter the John Locke Essay Competition Senior. Again, continued commitment is being shown through that. In year 12 then, start to write your application to UCAS, which is the UK university system. Attend any and all Oxbridge-run activities that are aimed at international students. If you're not sure where to find these, just ask us. I have a massive bank of these, and my tutors and things at Cambridge are constantly sending me over things that they think students would be interested in. So we have a massive list of these, and we're happy to share. Also, importantly here, choose between Oxford and Cambridge. You cannot apply to both. So in year 13, you will submit your application, but this is always October 15th or 16th. So it's very, very early on in year 13. So get your application written by the end of year 12. So these are kind of the steps that if you follow, you should be successful and you'll have the highest chance of success that you can get. And we are there to support you throughout the process. So thank you very much for listening. I look forward to seeing you guys in the summer. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to me or some of the other teachers. I apologise for my lack of Korean at the moment. Please reach out to any teachers and we will all be more than happy to help. Thank you so much.